but I know exactly where one started and who started it. It was in October, Monday the 2nd, 9 o'clock in the morning. I was in the stats lab at HiTek struggling with a box of clippings on hair bobbing. I'm Sandra Foster, by the way, and I work in R&D at HiTek. I had spent all weekend going through yellowed newspapers and 1920s copies of the Saturday Evening Post and the Delineator, trudging upstream to the beginnings of the fad of hair bobbing, looking for what had caused every woman in America to suddenly chop off her crowning glory, despite social pressure, threatening sermons, and 4,000 years of long hair. I had clipped endless news items, highlighted references, magazine articles, and advertisements, dated them, and organized them into categories. Flip had stolen my stapler, I had run out of paper clips, and Desiderata hadn't been able to find any more, so I had had to settle for stacking them, in order, in the box, which I was now trying to maneuver into my lab. The box was heavy, and had been made by the same people who manufacture paper sacks at the supermarket, so when I dumped it just outside the lab so I could unlock the door, it had developed a major rip down one side. I was half wrestling, half dragging it over next to one of the lab tables so I could lift the stacks of clippings out, when the whole side started to give way. An avalanche of magazine pages and newspaper stories began to spill out through the side before I could get it pushed back in place, and I grabbed for them and the box, as Flip opened the door and slouched in, looking disgusted. She was wearing black lipstick, a black halter, and a black leather micro skirt, and was carrying a box about the size of mine. "I'm not supposed to have to deliver packages," she said. "You're supposed to pick them up in the mailroom." "I didn't know I had a package," I said, trying to hold the box together with one hand and reach a roll of duct tape in the middle of the lab table with the other. "Just set it down anywhere." She rolled her eyes. "You're supposed to get a notice saying you have a package." "Yes, well, and you were probably supposed to deliver it," I thought, which explains why I never got it. "Could you reach me that duct tape?" I said. "Employees aren't supposed to ask interdepartmental assistants to run personal errands or make coffee," Flip said. "Handing me a roll of tape is not a personal errand," I said. Flip sighed. "I'm supposed to be delivering the interdepartmental mail." She tossed her hair. She'd shaved her head the week before, but had left a long hank along the front and down one side, expressly for flipping when she feels put upon. Flip is my punishment for having tried to get her predecessor, Desiderata, fired. Desiderata was mindless, clueless, and completely without initiative. She misdelivered the mail, wrote down messages wrong, and spent all her free time examining her split ends. After 2 months and a wrong phone call that cost me a government grant, I went to management and demanded she be fired and anybody else, be hired, on the grounds that nobody could possibly be worse than Desiderata. I was wrong. Management moved Desiderata to supply. Nobody ever gets fired at HiTek except scientists, and even we don't get pink slips. Our projects just get cancelled for lack of funding. And hired Flip, who has a nose ring, a tattoo of a snowy owl, and the habit of sighing and rolling her eyes when you ask her to do anything at all. I am afraid to get her fired. There is no telling who they might hire next. Flip sighed loudly. "This package is really heavy." "Then set it down," I said, stretching to reach the tape. It was just out of reach. I inched the hand holding the side of the box shut higher and leaned farther across the lab table. My fingertips just touched the tape. "It's breakable," Flip said, coming over to me, and dropped the box. I grabbed to catch it with both hands. It thunked down on the table, the side gave way on my box, and the clippings poured out of the box and across the floor. "Next time you're going to have to pick it up yourself," Flip said, walking on the clippings toward the door. I shook the box, listening for broken sounds. There weren't any, and when I looked at the top, it didn't say fragile anywhere.